Good morning, good afternoon and good evening. My name is Jake and welcome to a rather special video today. I'm building a gaming PC. Now this, what you see in front of you here, is my current rig that is leaving and it is being replaced by something far newer, younger and stronger. All joking aside, this rig now is about 4 years old. It's still a bloody good rig, mind. But I do think it's time for a slight upgrade. Now, as far as my knowledge of building a PC goes, it's very limited. In fact, I probably contributed around about 10% to the overall build that you see before you. And when I say 10%, included in that 10% was making regular cups of tea and running off to the local McDonald's for lunch, while my friend Andy, hi Andy, pretty much did the rest of the work. I expect things to go wrong today. Fingers and toes crossed, things will go smoothly. But as you can see, I'm on my own. I'm a little bit nervous, if I'm being honest, because I am a novice. So yeah, this is, as far as I'm concerned, the first time building, or certainly the first time solo. Now, before I show you the new components that are going into my new build, I just want to take a couple of minutes just to talk over this little beauty right here, and it is still a beauty, I might add. So the case then, it's the NZXT, I believe it's the 150 Noctis. That's probably not how you could pronounce that, but I don't care. Why did I buy this case all those years ago? Two reasons. One, I thought it looked like a stormtrooper. And two, it was quite unique. I'd not seen many people build in this tower before, so for me, that was a win-win. So as far as what's under the bonnet, we've got a i7-8700K Intel processor. There is a Asus Republic of Gamers motherboard. I believe it's the Z370E gaming version. Wow, that's a mouthful. There's also 32 gigs of Corsair Vengeance RAM. Massively overkill 4 years ago. It's probably a more acceptable in today's building, that kind of climate. But yeah, 4 years ago, massively overkill. Was warned against it. Never even got close to using 16 gigs of RAM on anything. But hey, if you're a PC enthusiast, it's never a case of needing, it's always a case of wanting. And I wanted 32 gigs of RAM. So I got 32 gigs of RAM. Keeping the processor nice and cool is the Corsair 150i Elite, or was it the Pro? There's so many different versions of radiators all in one coolers these days, especially from Corsair. I lose track. It's a 360 rad, and it keeps everything. It's kept everything really lovely and cool for the last 4 years. I have noticed just recently though that the CPU temperatures have begun to spike ever so slightly, so before I move this on I need to reapply some thermal paste. As far as storage is concerned, well, up until yesterday this had around about, let me think, 3 terabytes worth of storage, all SSD storage I might add. However, in these two front drive bays here, you'll notice there is actually one SSD still there. There were 2 single terabytes Samsung 860 EVOs. I've removed them because they've been salvaged. They're going into my new build because they were actually added to this build after its initial conception. So this is a 500 gigabyte. This was from the original build. You've also got attached to the motherboard a Samsung 960 M.2, that's a terabyte there of storage, and in one of the drive cages just back here is a 3 terabyte hard disk drive, so plenty of storage. That gives a grand total of a whopping 4 terabytes, so I never even came close to even scratching the surface when it came to filling those drives, so yeah, plenty of storage. Giving the whole thing power, just back here, is the, in fact it's even got the label so I can tell you the exact thing. It's the RM850X, it's a Corsair 850 watt power supply, it's a very good power supply, gold standard, kind of all are these days, so nothing really to sing about there. And then there's the cherry on the cake, the old GPU. That right there is a 1080 Ti Founders card. And for the longest time it was the love of my life. Until today! I don't think I've missed anything other than the actual case fans themselves. There's 4 120mm fans at the front and a 140 here at the back. They are RGB. The fans that are attached to the radiator were the stock fans that actually came with the all-in-one, therefore they are non-RGB. So a total of 1, 2, 3, 7 fans. It's actually got negative pressure technically, because I've only got 3 intake and I've actually got 4, when you think about it, exhaust fans. But honestly, thermals have been absolutely bang on over the years. Like I just mentioned a few moments ago, the only thing that I have noticed recently is CPU temperatures just get a little bit hotter than at idle temperatures, I should say, than what I've been previously used to. So I think it is time for some new thermal paste on there. Right, that is enough rambling. That is the old. Oh, it's a big boy. Oh. Come on. It's upside down. In with the new. Alright, so this is the Lian 011 Dynamic Evo. Okay, I really love this case for so many reasons. The build I have in here that I've got planned for today, if it turns out how I see it up here, is gonna look sick. And I mean that in a good way. Kids, you know what I mean. So yeah, I've had my eye on this case for a very, very long time. Or actually, if I'm being honest, it's the standard 011 Dynamic. Like I said, this is the Evo version that was released a number of months ago, and it's got all sorts of different things that you can do with it, different types of customization, how you can sort of orientate your graphics card and things like that. It's got, here at the back, it's got a lovely little mesh cover instead of like a solid cover, which is good for airflow. And I just saw it, and it was like that scene in Wayne's World where he sees the guitar and he's like, oh, you will be mine. Oh yes, you will be mine. And that's kind of how I felt with this. Complete polar opposite to the NZXT case that I've just shown you there, in the sense that everybody's got one of these, but I don't care, because up until today I didn't. And like I said, I just think they are the market leaders when it comes to innovating and just general cases, building cases in general. It was going to be this or the Corsair 5000D. It was a coin flip between the two. And after I finally flipped the coin about 7 or 8 times, and I finally got heads, this one. Yeah. Next up we have the motherboard, the MSI, I can't read upside down, X570S Edge. Does everything you need a motherboard to do. It looks brilliant. It's going to look really good in this. What I will say about this as well, it is an AM4 socket, so straight away those enthusiasts amongst you will know I've gone from Intel to AMD. Ryzen 9, this is the 5950X, 16-core processor, an absolute beast. I cannot wait to put this through its paces. Now I've heard Ryzen CPUs in general, especially the top of the range CPUs, can run pretty toasty. Therefore I'm going to need a good all-in-one cooler to keep it nice and cool. And I think I've got one. Now, out of everything I'm going to show you, this gave me the biggest headache because I wasn't sure which one I wanted. Now, originally, I really wanted a all-in-one with an LCD screen. So I was limited with what I could choose because I think there's only like 3, maybe 4 on the market at the moment. There's an MSI, there's a NZXT, and I think Corsair do their version as well. Okay, but because I like to keep things kind of in a way, kind of uniformal, and I had a build idea in mind aesthetically of how I wanted it to look, all the case fans that I'm going to be using today are going to be the Lian Li SL Unifans. So it made perfect sense to buy a Lian Li all-in-one cooler. This is the GALAHAD, and yes, it is the Unifan edition. So it comes with 3 Unifans already in the box. So not only is it cheaper than the all-in-one coolers with the screens, then I don't actually have the additional cost of buying 3 additional fans just to make everything look neat and tidy in the case. So yeah, I had to make a sacrifice here, but this is a good cooler. Again, I think it's Gamers Nexus, does numerous reviews on all sorts of bits and pieces, and when he reviewed this particular all-in-one cooler, it came out pretty good. You know, all the numbers were very encouraging. So as far as compromises are concerned, this is one I was happy to make. And as I just mentioned, we also have Unifans to go with the rest of the build. 7 in total, so single fans anyway. There will be a grand total of 10 fans in that case. Once it's done, he says, he hopes. Okay then, RAM. I love these, which is funny because once upon a time I didn't really think much to them until I saw them. Oh, I'm gonna have to come up close to show you these babies. Look at these. Look at them. Oh yes. Yes, so these are the G.Skill Trident Royal RAM sticks, 32 gigs, 8 gig per stick. God's sake. When you see them on a screen or in somebody else's build on you know, on YouTube or whatever, trust me, it doesn't do it justice until you see them in the flesh. They are beautiful. Moving on then to storage. Now these are the terabyte SSDs that I mentioned at the beginning of the video when I was talking you through my current rig. These are the Samsung 860 EVOs. 1 terabyte makes 2 terabytes. But to go with that, we have a 2 terabyte PCIe 4, Gen 4, M.2. This is a Crucial P5 Plus. Keeping all this powered then, I've got a brand new PSU. This is a SeaSonic 850 watt Gold Plus, or Plus Gold or whatnot. It's a Focus GX 850 version. And I think it won an award, as it likes to boast. Yeah, it got the European Hardware Award in 2018 as part of the Best PSU series. So, to be fair, I've heard that SeaSonic make a lot of the PSUs for other companies who then just put their logo on it. So I don't think you can go wrong with I nearly called it a Seagate. That's a hard drive. SeaSonic, that's a power supply unit. Running out of space on the old table. Don't do that. Why? Don't break it before it's built. Crikey. To go along with the power supply unit then, I've also got myself some custom cables. So this is from Cable Mod. They are just in black. You can kind of guess what the colour scheme's gonna be. Black. So yeah, I just thought, to be fair, the cables that you get with this power supply unit aren't that bad. It's just that, well, these look nicer. It's that simple. And last but not at all least, the new love of my life, the new cherry on top. This is a 3080 Ti, the MSI Ventus, 3 times blah blah blah, don't know, don't care. It's a 3080 Ti. That's all that matters. I'm just going to take a minute. I'll be right back. And so there you have it, guys and girls. This is the build. Really looking forward to getting started, so let's not waste any more time. I am against the clock, to be fair. I've got a few hours to build this, and then I've got to run off and pick the little girl up from school, and also get all this tidied up before the missus comes home, because otherwise she'll be in my neck. Now, as you might have noticed, I'm not in a studio, I'm not a Gamers Nexus, I'm not a J's 2 Cents, I'm not a Linus Tech Tips. So I'm in my dining room. I don't have a studio, I have a Samsung S20 mobile phone, which is what's recording me right now. I also have a GoPro. It's currently on charge. Now, my original plan was to have the GoPro strapped to my chest, and I can show you everything I'm doing as I'm doing it. And I'm still hoping I can do that, actually. I need to check. Make sure it's charged up. Moment of truth. 100%. Great success. Honestly, the things I do for views. Desperate for that YouTube fame. Well, alright. I think we're good. Moment of truth, I suppose. Right, so we need to install the processor first. Okay, I've watched plenty of how-to and tutorial videos to know that much. So nervous right now, honestly, because if I'm gonna like mess this up, it's gonna be right at the start. Doing this, installing the processor. What the earth? Why can't I just peel off? Why does it have to be like this? Stupid. Okay, I'm just going to break the box. And here she is. The Ryzen 5950. So, as I understand it, yes. So, on the Ryzen, in fact, I use the GoPro, because that's what I've done it for. On the Ryzen, if you can see just there, I appreciate it's still in its packaging, but there is like a little tiny triangle, and you have to match that to a triangle on the motherboard, which is just there in the top right hand corner. So the orientation of the CPU chip is going to be something like that. Now, why am I so nervous? Well, the pins basically that are on a CPU are easily damaged, and I'm just clumsy. Oh, here it goes. Let's just do it. So we have to pop open this. Okay, that's right, I think. So far so good. Do I have to do anything else? Or I think it just goes into those bits there. You see, I'm pretty sure on the Intel, the pins are actually on the motherboard for the Intel sockets. Could be wrong. There you go, CPU installed. Ooh. Okay then, so next up is RAM installation. So let's, I think we have to open these. 3, 4, both sides. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have got 4 RAM sticks, so we are going to occupy all 4 slots on the motherboard. So I don't have to worry about putting the RAM sticks in the wrong channels, basically, which is good, which is another reason why I bought 4. so even an idiot like me can't get it wrong. If, however, if you're building along at home, like Blue Peter, if you do have only 2 RAM sticks to occupy the RAM slots, just here on the motherboard, it actually indicates which slots to occupy first. So in this instance, if I have a quick look, see, it's 2 and 2. So it will be, if that's 1, that's 2, that's 1, that's 2. So the 2nd and 4th slots basically. But we don't have to worry about that because we're occupying all 4 slots. Now, I really want to be gentle with these. I don't want to smudge them and get my grubby mitts all over them. Don't know if they've got like a protective thing on them. I don't really want to install it with like a protective coating now, do we? That would be embarrassing. In fact, it does. It does, yeah. Okay. Because these get hot. You leave any plastic on it, there we go. That's potentially a very bad day. What I do want to point out though is you've got this sticker here. Now it actually says in this corner where my finger is that is void if removed. So I'm guessing that must be heat resistant. I don't know. So we want to install these the right way. There are little notches just here. It's not bang on halfway if you look at the RAM stick. It might look like it actually on the camera, but I can assure you it's not. The left hand side is slightly longer, so I need to make sure I'm putting it in the right slot, the right way round. That looks about right. And then I think we just, you know, and it clicks. I hope. Oh, yeah. There we go. An audible click. There we go. 1 RAM stick installed. Repeat 3 further times. There we go then. RAM is installed. All 4 slots occupied. And I've got to say, they look gorgeous. Even take them out of the case, you put them in the motherboard, they look even better. Oh, yes. Next, we want to be installing our M.2 drive, which will be going in this top slot here, I think. It's actually got 3 slots for M.2, so in theory you could put 3 of these on this motherboard for even more storage. I'm not going to do that. Now logic tells me that you put this in the top slot. They've all got heat sinks, so I haven't got to worry about that. We'll take the first one off, we'll see if it fits. If it doesn't, we'll go to number 2. It's that simple. Just got to be careful with this because it just comes with a tiny, tiny screw. Okay, so you can put that under the GoPro so you can get a better idea of how it looks. Put it in my hand like that. There you go. So there is a tiny, tiny screw, and that, I believe, is to go that little cutout there in the M.2. That sits in there and just anchors it in place. You don't want to lose that. Now I need some tools. iFixit! Yes, I watch Jay's 2 cents. Yes, I'm extremely susceptible to advertisements. Although, to be fair, it's a pretty decent kit. Quite a few bits and pieces in there for us to use today, and it's magnetic as well, so hopefully I'll not lose anything. So the M.2, as you can see, it's got another little cutout on the side that wants to go into the motherboard. I just need to bend over here and have a quick look-see to make sure it's going in the right way. There is a little nodule. I don't know if the GoPro camera can pick that up. Maybe my fat fingers are in the way. So just there. And I think that's what that slots into. Right, I heard a little bit of a click there. That tells me it's in. Now it's up in this position, kind of at a 45-degree angle. This is why we need this teeny tiny little screw. Don't need to over tighten it, I don't think. Just, in fact, I might just take that back a bit. Half a turn. Heatsink back on. That's the M.2 installed. CPU, RAM, M.2. That's the easy part. And now I'm a little bit stuck. What do I do next? Suppose I could prep the case. Prep the all-in-one. Normally Andy's here to do it for me. Andy? How does this come off? Thumb screws and pull. Right. That's the top. Excellent. The all-in-one, the radiator, by the way, I'm going to mount on the top in a pull configuration, so it's going to be pulling air out of the case, yeah, as an exhaust. So the idea is, for those of you who may not have seen this case before, I refuse to believe there's anybody out there that hasn't seen this case. Okay, but there's going to be 3 at the top as exhaust, 3 at the bottom as intake, 1 at the back for exhaust, and then 3 here at the side, also set to intakes. So that will be 6 intake fans and 4 exhaust. I do apologise that I've got my back to the camera at this point. I do believe this is supposed to be like a door. There's a thumb screw down there. Does that do it? Or that might be for the bottom tray. Learning by doing! On camera! Planning preparation prevents piss poor performance. Remember that. There appears to be a screw just here. I believe this, oh that's tight, is what's keeping it in place. Way! Woo! Okay. This is the part of the video where I do kind of have to move around a little bit. Staying in one place will prove difficult just because it's me more than anything, and I like to move, but actually I do need to be in different places, and rather than lifting the case and moving it around, it's just easier for me to move around the table. Okay, so this is the front panel. Now the beautiful thing about the Evo is it's interchangeable. So it's actually reversible in the sense that if, like the way you see it now, orientated, it can be flipped. So the open part would essentially be here at the back. It can also be turned upside down and inverted, which is a nice little touch. I've got to be honest with you, I'm not going to faff around today, inverting and flipping and this, that and the other. In fact, it's going to be a very traditional build in the sense that even the graphics card is going to be mounted in the more traditional horizontal position. I wanted to mount it vertically, I really did. However, I could not get hold of a bracket in time for today's video because they're pretty much sold out everywhere. And then when I did see one on Amazon, it was a third party one, not an official Lian Li one. It was like a lot more expensive than the Lian Li one. And I don't know, I kind of like I like traditional stuff. You know, I actually kind of like the horizontal mount. So yeah, the vertical mount went out the window, unfortunately. Just on that, by the way, the upright mount in the UK is about £80. The vertical, the official one, is £60. The case on its own is £140. So if you did want to sort of play around with it a little bit, that you're going to have to pay extra just for those mods. It doesn't come as standard. They're a company, they're trying to make money at the end of the day. On top of that, especially this is more relevant if you're going for the upright position, you're going to need to buy a riser cable. Now the riser cable that Lian provides with the bracket is really small and ends up having to go across the motherboard into the GPU. And for me, it looks ugly. So to combat that, just recently, Lian and other manufacturers have actually released a 600mm riser cable that you can be plugged into the motherboard, fed through the rear cutouts, and then back where all the cables would be, but you don't see, through this little cutout here, and into the GPU, which is a lot better. It looks much more aesthetically nicer. However, those riser cables aren't cheap either. So you're looking, if you want to do that, at a £140 case with all its mods, it's going to set you back around about £300 here in the UK, probably $350 over in the States. And I don't know if that's worth it. Okay, so I've just skipped a little bit further in front, not too far, prepped the case. Side panels are now off, front, rear, and at the back, side, front and rear. I've also removed the radiator cage from the top and the bottom so I can easily mount the fans when I come to do that. This is a bracket. In fact, I'll show you because the case is a lot lighter now. I've been prepping it. At the back, this is what this is from, and it just sits kind of central, and that's what all your cables and all that hide behind when it comes to cable management towards the end of the build. Can't wait for that. This is a cool little feature as well as part of the Evo case. This is what your side fans would sit on. So you can either have it default as it came, it's kind of like sat a little bit further forward, or you can remove it, put your fans on it, and then have it set further back. So it gives you a little bit more space in the case. I haven't quite decided yet on how I want to have it orientated, but it's real simple. I mean, it just clips in like that. There's a little clip just back here. You pull it up, it pops out. Now this is in the rear position. That's in the rear position. The clip is just here. Pull it, out it comes. Now, I didn't expect this to turn into a case review video. Kind of has. Moving on. Okay, so now I need to go through all the box of tricks that come with the case, including the instruction manual. Yes, I will be referring to the instruction manual. I have no idea what this is for. Time for a cup of tea. Okay, so it appears that this is actually a tray for mounting a hard drive or SSD. And these on the brackets. However, I don't think I'm going to need to use it because that there, just there, is a drive cage, which will be more than enough for the 2 SSDs I've got going into this build. So I don't think I'm going to need them, which is good. Less bits I need to use, the better. The less likely I am to mess it up. Got numerous different bits and pieces. They're just rubber washers. I'm trying to find the standoffs for the motherboard. Okay, so I think I may have jumped the gun a little bit just there, just thinking I was about to put motherboard into case. Then I remembered I'm going to have to fit a bracket onto the motherboard for this all-in-one. And I'm remembering back 4 years ago, I did that before putting it in the case. So I think I'm going to have to do that now. Here we go. Ooh, fancy, fancy, fancy. So what do we have? That looks like a bracket. Ah, that's pretty cool. They actually include some thermal paste. That means that there's probably, there's none actually on the plate of the pump. So I'm going to have to apply my own thermal paste. All right, understood. Sometimes they come pre-installed, like the Corsair all-in-one that I've had that I'm currently using. That came with a circular pad thing on it already pre-applied. So there's the brackets, that's what I need. That's all the connections and gizmos. We've got some fans and whatnot in there. Don't need to get all that out just yet. But we do need to fit the brackets. So I'm going to do that now. I do love me a good cup of tea. There's so many bits and pieces. What do I need? There's just so many. I think it's because there's an extra bracket, because that I've just put on the floor, the all-in-one has the 1200 socket bracket as well for the new Intel processors. Oh no, sorry, wrong. 1700 processors. The LGA 1700. So I think it's one of these. In fact, they look both the same. So why include two if they both do the same job? They look the same. Look the same. Right. Don't need them. I think I need this. Oh.
Two hours later.
Oh, this might as well be written in Swahili. I'm confused. Because that looks like a bracket to me. Pre-installed on the back. And I think this goes on the pump. Right. Sitrep. It appears the bracket is already mounted to the board, which would make sense because it's an AM4 board, I guess. So, hold on. If I just lift this up to show you all, oopsie daisy. These two plastic brackets here are attached to the rear plate, and these hooks, there's two of these, they are supposed to hook over like so, top and bottom, and then these fit on top of them. These look like little thumb screws, and that's what you use to tighten the pump to the CPU. However, what was throwing me was I thought in my mind I needed to attach a bracket towards the back. And then I saw this, and I'm looking in the instructions, and anyway, this actually slots in to the pump. Now, I've just looked at the pump, and the third bracket that I couldn't find is actually already attached to the pump. So I'm going to have to remove that. I don't need those still. I remove that, I attach this, and then that, I think, well, I don't know if it matters which way round it goes, whether it goes kind of that way or that way. But as I'm understanding it, these hooks hook onto the bits I've just shown you, and they feed in through these holes, like so. And then once that's in place, it's going to be really fiddly. Why can't it just be easy? And then these screw over the top. There you go, don't lose them. And and it tightens it into place. I really was hoping it wouldn't be this bracket. I was hoping it'd just be a simple 4 corners, screw, do opposites, whatever, to get a nice even press from the cold plate onto the CPU to make sure I've got good contact with the thermal paste. That's not going to happen, unfortunately. That doesn't mean to say it's not going to be a nice contact. I'm sure it will be. It's just I'm going to have to spend extra care, I suppose, care and attention on when I eventually come to mount the pump. I think I can now jump ahead and actually install the motherboard into the case. I'm going to need my motherboard screws though for that. Where did I put them? Well, it's going to be one of these. Well, that was a little bit harder than it should have been, mainly because Lian Lee felt in their infinite wisdom to put different types of screws in one bag. 3 different types of screws to be precise. You can't really see them, but they're there. Anyway, as a result, naturally, when you mix the screws up, you're going to use the wrong screws. Realised after I'd done about 8 of the 9 screws, had to take them out and replace them with the correct screws, but the good news is the motherboard is now installed in the case. We are cooking on gas. Now I've done that, I think it's time to start installing some case fans. They are, I believe they're the case fan screws. I'm going to need them, leave you to one side. For now, this can go on the floor and we can concentrate on case fans. Now the beautiful thing about these fans, there's many beautiful things about these fans, but one of the things that attracted me to them is the fact that you can daisy chain them together. And I think you can link up to 16 fans into one thingamajig, one, I don't know, like hub. That's it, fan hub, one fan hub, which is that. And we've got lots of other bits and pieces in here too. Some sticky pads. Don't know what they're for. Some extra screws. Let's not get overwhelmed with everything. Let's just look at what we need, put what we don't need away, and then get it when we need it. And they are beautiful. The RGB lighting is around the edges rather than the actual face of the fan. The AL fans are different. The face of the fan is what lights up. And actually, Lian Lee, I believe, have just released a new fan, the SL Infinity. I need to double check that, but I think that's what they're called. And basically, it's a hybrid. It's a combination of the SL and the AL fan. So the face of the fan lights up as well as the outer rim. So yeah. Let's see if I can figure out how these connect together. Wheel, don't break it. Try not to break it. There we go. 3 fans, all daisy chained, and then we just connect one of these to the fans that goes into the hub. Now that is jumping the gun slightly. We're not going to install all that just yet. We are just prepping the fans and getting them on the cages, the side, bottom and top, although the radiator is going on top. Remember! Okay, so I've got my fans daisy chained together, and now it's a case of just putting in the screws. So there are our side intake fans, which of course will be positioned like this with that going into the case. So I think I'm going to go ahead and just clip it on right now. Okay, so side intake fans done. Now it's time for the bottom intake fans. Incidentally, if you buy the 3-pack of fans, you will get everything that you need to make these fans work in a chain. Because you get this in every pack of 3, but we only need 1. So the single fans, which are cheaper, depending on when you go, it might be cheaper to buy in bulk as a single fan. Might be a better option if you're looking at building with these fans. So you'll buy 1 box of 3, and then the rest would be singles. It would be more than adequate. First casualty of the day. Shit! I've just broke one of the fans. Shit. I think it'll be all right because the connection is still sound. It's just that it's a bit, it'll be okay once it's on the bracket. It's just when I was fiddling around, there it is. There's just a little bit of the plastic of what clips them together. So yeah, be careful if you get these fans. They are not bulletproof. Oh yeah, so it's not secure at all. It'll just come off, whereas the others, you can wiggle it around. No problem. So I'm going to have to get this mounted to the tray where I have put that where? Oh, it's in the case. Yeah, I need to take that back out. And I need to get it mounted to this tray, screwed in, and just be a little bit more careful. I've only loosely tightened them, but this is a you've been framed moment. If I do this, okay, so it seems to hold it pretty well actually, and even though I broke one of them, you can't really tell. No, you can't tell. Right, I'm not going to actually put this in the case just yet, mainly because I need to install some of the cables down at the bottom. And if I put this in, then all I'm going to be doing is restricting what I can, my movements within the case. So we're just gonna put this to one side and then we're gonna prep the all-in-one. Okay then, so here is the RAD. I think, in terms of orientation, I'm gonna have it so it's that way, at the top, with the tubes coming down and round onto CPU like that, if we can make it happen. The one concern I've got doing it this way is the RAM. Will the RAM be in the way? I got a sneaking suspicion the answer is going to be yes. But we'll see. Might get lucky. So what I need to go and do is attach the fans to the radiator using these long screws, quite long screws, because they're designed naturally to go through the fan and also screw into the four, in fact, how many are there? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, in fact, there's 12. So the corners of the fan attached there. Okay, and then the radiator should then attach to the bracket. Carefully does it. Yeah, so it looks as if the same holes are used on the opposite side of the rad to secure it to the mount. Well, alrighty then. We have the fans and radiator now mounted to the bracket, which is good. And I think, have I done this right? Hopefully I've done this right. Come on, you bugger. That should then clip onto there. Oh, have I done it wrong? Oh, have I done this the wrong? I've done this the wrong way. Damn, done that the wrong way. So hang about. It's not the end of the world. It's not the end of the world. Basically, the connection for this is supposed to sit on there like that. So as you can see, the cabling will have to get routed around the side, back on itself, like that, which is less than ideal, but it is what it is. Okay, so I've just changed the mount as well before I sign off for today, for me anyway. The AM4 bracket, as you can see, has now been attached. So, let me think, hold on. Like that, okay. And then that gets hooked on, and that was actually really simple to install. The bracket that was pre-attached, this one here, with a little bit of force, not too much, but it pulls off, and then you just literally push the bracket that you require back on in its place. That straightforward. Pleased to report. Right, well that's it for me today. In about 5 seconds, it's going to be the following morning, and I'm going to be here, hopefully, with a near completed build.
The following day.
Okay then, boys and girls, it is the morning after the night before, and as you can see, the tower looks slightly different from when I left you just moments ago. So after the camera stopped rolling, I installed the PSU, the power supply, and all the relevant cables. I actually think I might need one additional cable to plug into that, so I need to do that this morning. I also put in the rear or the bottom fans, and I have screwed them into the chassis, and also the radiator and fans. That is now secured to the chassis too, as well as the rear exhaust fan. So today, looking at this, realistically, the only thing that I really need to do is install the GPU and also route the cables for all of the fans and ARGB headers through the back, hook up a uni hub, and hopefully we're good to go. Well, at least that's all I thought when I stopped filming yesterday. And then something occurred to me last night, kind of kept me up like this all night. Because here we have the Lian Uni Hub. Now I mentioned, for me it was yesterday, for you it was about 20 minutes ago, that this can have up to 16 fans connected to it, and it can. It has a fan header and an RGB header. Okay, so there's 1, 2, 3 and 4. And as we know, the uni fans can be daisy chained into 4 and 4 clipped together. So in one hub, I'm going to have the side intake, the bottom intake, the top radiator exhaust and the rear exhaust. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, that is 4. Okay, that is 4 separate cables, RGB and fan headers for one hub. So that's fine. That is absolutely fine. Okay. The problem that I've got that occurred to me last night is this. See, these two cables here, come off the pump for the all-in-one. Now one, I believe it's this one here, needs to go into the all-in-one pump header on the motherboard. That's not a problem. Even though it's a 4-pin and that's only a 3-pin, I did a bit of research and apparently it's okay to do that. But this one, according to the instructions, that gives the face of the pump RGB. And well, as we've just mentioned, one hub has 4 slots and they're all going to be taken up by fans. So I don't know what I'm going to do. Now my solution is, because I've said, obviously like I meant, that needs to go into the hub. Now the solution to the problem, whoopsie daisy. So the solution is to have a second hub, which creates more cable management back here, which to be fair isn't all that bad at the moment, but we don't have all the cables sorted out yet and plugged in. So if I was to have a second one of these, then obviously that means essentially I would have all these slots free for the RGB, and I think I'll end up just having maybe the side and bottom intake in one, and then the exhausts in another, along with the hub, just to even it out a bit. So that's fine, and I've got enough of these to do that. It comes with a USB 2.0 connector, and I have 2. I think I've got 2 on the motherboard, so that's fine. So we can plug 2 in. It then comes with a SATA cable in order to give the thing power. Again, not a problem, because in my cable mod box, I have a spare SATA cable, because I also, last night I installed the drive, the 2.5-inch SSDs in the drive cages. So the SATA cables are being used for that. The case needs SATA power, so that's 3 that's been taken up, which leaves me with 1 spare on the current cable that I've got plugged in, which would be fine for this. But if I have 2, you can see I need to plug another one in. So that's fine, because I've got that. I can plug that in. But already you can start to see I'm adding to the spaghetti junction that I've got back here. And then we've got this. Basically, one goes into the ARGB header on the motherboard, of which I have one spare at the top. The one at the bottom is currently being occupied by the case, so the RGB strip on the front of the case can light up. So I have one spare. So that would go into there, and then this one is a fan header that would go into like one of the system fan headers on the motherboard. Okay, and then I think if I understand it correctly, what that means is I can then use the L-Connect software or the motherboard to control fan curves and speeds and all that good stuff. And if I was only using one, then that's fine. But as we've just mentioned, I'm probably not going to be using one. I'm going to be using two, which is an issue because although I've got plenty of fan headers for this, I've only got the one ARGB. So I would need to find a way of splitting the ARGB header. And I was looking through my boxes last night, and I think I found a cable that will help me or enable me to do just that. And it's this little thing here. It's like a Y shape. So that end, I'll just give you a close up. The GoPro will be really good around about now. So hopefully that's in clear view. So that is the same connection as what needs to go onto the ARGB header on the motherboard, and it's also the same connection as this here, okay? So essentially that would go into the motherboard, leaving me with these two. Okay, now if you take these little protectors off, you've got three prongs sticking out, which, lo and behold, can be fitted into here, he says, he hopes, like so. So now I think this is, and there's another one on this side, that should mean I should be able to connect a second uni hub to there. With that being in the motherboard, that hopefully will be the solution to my current dilemma. But then, like I've just said, I've got all that extra cable management to do. So that's what, I think I'm going to try that first. If that doesn't work, then the only other solution I have got is to remove this rear fan here altogether, and the slots that this would ordinarily would have occupied on the uni hub would then be occupied by the pump or the pump header for the ARGB. So there's still quite a lot of work for me to do, but in terms of you watching this on YouTube on the video, it's probably going to take around about a minute. Lucky you. Okay, so I have made an executive decision. I'm just going to start today by trying to switch the fans round so they are still set to exhaust. However, the cables will be on this side of the case, and it should make it a little bit tidier, I'm hoping, when I'm routing the cables back through the cutouts into the rear of the case and attaching it to the hub. Decisions. I've actually changed my mind again. I actually think they'll be hidden better, going back on themselves like that, and then through this rear cutout. Let's unravel them and see. So I've just pulled them through. It was a little bit fiddly. There's not much room in this top corner anymore because the CPU power sockets have been plugged in, and the cables and with the cable combs and stuff like that, it's pretty much taking up most of the space. And unfortunately, the grommet to the right of it, even though it's completely empty, but it's not, I couldn't have routed them through properly and made them look nice. It would have kind of been all kinked and dog-eared. So unfortunately, I've got everything going through one grommet. But if I pull that tight, which is essentially how it will be once it's plugged in, I think that looks all right. I don't think you can see those cables. I think with it being at the back of the chassis here, it would look better than being actually here, because we've got to remember that this is going to be a glass front here. This is a glass panel, so you can see into the case. And if it's here where I'm pointing, you would see the cables kind of taut, like being pulled through the grommet. So I actually think this is a better way of having the case fans attached to the radiator. So I'm happy with that. Okay, so that's the rear fan routed through, and what I've actually managed to do is I've actually been able to utilise that second grommet by feeding the cables for the fan around the back of the power cable and then into through the second grommet into the back of the case. And I think, looking at it, because the cables are black, if they were white, I think it might stand out a little bit more, but because the cables are black, you can't really tell. The only one that's going to be really easy for me is these side intake fans, because the cables are already situated at the top and to the right, or to the left as you're looking at it. So they're like the easiest ones ever. You can't even see them, so that's fantastic. The only ones I need to do now are these ones for the bottom intake. So I just need to figure out which would be the best place to put them. So this is actually the first time I've ever applied thermal paste. Now, I've seen 100 videos on how to apply thermal paste. And the one that most people keep coming back to is a great big in the middle. So I'm gonna play it safe and just do that. So we have a 4-pin, that's the 3-pin, that's the RGB. Oh, no. This is what confuses me, because everything, you got 3 pins, 4 pins, and the connection on the motherboard for the all-in-one cooler is a 4-pin, yet they provide you with a 3-pin. Oops. And I just don't know why they don't just put a 4-pin on there, just to save any confusion. There's reasons for it, I've no doubt, but it just seems really odd. So there, we currently have our all-in-one installed with thermal paste. And the header from the pump is plugged into the pump header on the motherboard, and then I have just fed the RGB cable through the top grommet to be plugged into the uni hub. So what I'm going to do now is this little Y splitter here for the ARGB, so I can control the ARGB from 2 hub. There must be a better way of doing it, I'm certain there is. But for now, we'll get this plugged in. And that wants to go that way around. In fact, probably feed that through the back. There we go. So that's installed. Incidentally, I don't know if this is universal for all motherboards, but on an MSI motherboard, it's not labelled ARGB, which makes sense because it's addressable RGB. It's just J Rainbow or J Rainbow 1. I have to look that up. Right, so I've decided I'm now going to move on to the GPU installation. But first, I need to install the GPU anti-sag bracket around the front, which will require me to remove a couple of the screws from the motherboard and insert these additional standoffs. They just simply screw in and then the motherboard screw goes over the top. Okay, so now here she is, still has the seal attached. Oh, there's nothing better than the smell of a new graphics card in the morning. What I will do, however, is treat you guys to an up close and personal view with the graphics card. There she is. MSI, 3 fans attached. Check out the fatness of that heatsink. That is something to behold. Now I have installed the bracket here, the GPU bracket. I haven't attached the little shoe yet. Don't know really what else to call it other than a shoe. There's a sticky pad that goes on there for when the graphics card ultimately sits on it. But I need to kind of get it lined up first and figure out where it's going to sit, if at all, because it would be typical if it ends up being lined up with one of the fans. I'm hoping it's just going to sit right there. Time will tell. Okay, slight change of plan. Turns out the graphics card comes with its own support bracket, which is good because I prefer to use this because it just looks nicer. It sits on the bottom of the GPU, but there, where I've put that bracket there, this little shoe, once secured in place nice and tight, but actually that screw there, unless I'm using the wrong screws, which is highly likely, but that screw would interfere with the shielding there, the M.2 heatsink shielding. So last thing I want to do is break that or bow it, or by putting too much pressure of a screw into it. So I think we're going to take that off and replace it with this, and this can be installed after the GPU. So that's what I'm going to do, and to be fair, as far as instructions go, that looks pretty simple. Alright guys and girls, that is the graphics card installed. Apologies for not actually showing you it going into the rig itself. It's probably for the best. I had a loud cracky, poppy, bangy noise when installing it. Well, specifically these cables here. And I'm petrified I've just broke something. However, if I'm lucky, and my theory is correct, the little safety release catch just here on the PCIe slot, or the graphics card slots into, you have to open that to slot it in, and I'm thinking maybe I didn't close it correctly, and when I put a bit of pressure inserting the power cables, maybe that motion of pushing the graphics card back popped that safety, that safety catch into its correct locked position. That is what I am hoping. Okay, fingers crossed, because if it's not, well, if it's not, you'll never see this video, because that will be going out the window. Everything I've done over the last 2 days will be getting deleted, and I think I'll just cry. Probably buy a Nintendo Switch or something. Incidentally, the graphics card support here, that fits in quite nicely, and it supports it really well. I installed it with the case lying down, so when it initially went in, it looked quite level. I didn't actually then lift it up until after the support had been fitted, so I don't actually know whether the brackets and on the motherboard and all that would have actually been strong enough. I suppose for safety reasons and for longevity, it's always best to install a bracket. But I actually really like the look of that bracket. I think it looks nice. There's a very, you won't be able to see it on the camera. I can barely see it up this close, but there is a very faint very faint MSI logo on there. You see, it does have a little bit of play in it, but I can show you that is tight in there. One other concern I have as well with regarding these power cables is, as you can see, I've got them coming from underneath and round, which is how I like to see them. I think that looks, when it's in the horizontal position, I think that looks nice. The problem is that they are touching these rear bottom fans. However, it is the back side of the fans with the plastic cross, and that's kind of what they're sat on. I have had a go at rotating the fans myself, like this, and they do spin freely without, doesn't sound like it's catching anything. So I think I'll get away with it. The cable codes have helped. They've kind of helped shape the cables a little bit better, but it is very busy back there, very busy, and I'm just wondering if maybe a side approach, because there's plenty of room with the power cables, there's plenty of length. I'm just wondering if that might be just a nicer look, but then I'm not, maybe not. So by my reckoning, there's only one thing left to go in this machine, and that is the uni hub. Now what I can do is I can use one of these sticky pads, just stick it to the hub like that, and then kind of stick it to the case, because there's no actual mounting point on here. So it either just hangs loose amongst the mess, or you can place it somewhere. So I'll get everything plugged into it that I need to plug in, and then I'll figure out orientation.
Okay, boys and girls, as you can see, I've got a little bit freehand here. So we have skipped really far in front. So as you can see, I've put the bracket on the back that keeps all the cables nice and hidden away. Done a little bit of cable management in here. Not done the best job in the world. However, because I've got the two uni hubs there, I had to stick one to the top of the PSU and the other one's kind of just poking there. So in that one there, I've got the intake fans, and in this one here, I've got the exhaust fans plus the RGB header for the pump. I've done a much better job at cable management here, I think, using cable ties. Around the front, I still need to put the GPU bracket back on. I had to take that off in order to get the USB ports 2.0s plugged in. It was a bit tight under there, so that's why I took that off. So I still need to reattach this. But this is the build. There is one thing I'm dreading, and I think I might have made a little boo-boo. I'll just show you everything else. So I do love the look of it. I think the aesthetics look stunning. However, I think I've made a massive cock up. Ignore the SATA cables. You see, when I was doing all my cable management, hang on, I'll go back to the stand for this.
So when I was doing my cable management, I swear to God, if the cable that I plugged in doesn't do the job I think it's going to do, I will cry. So basically, the addressable RGB header that's at the top of the case there, the one with the Y splitter. So I've got both uni hubs going into that, and then of course that going into the motherboard. However, because I'm a noob, as we've already established, I wasn't really thinking too far ahead of what I was doing. Kind of took it for granted. Anyway, when I was routing around, the header that was sat on the pins was obviously rocking. You can tell where I'm going here. It must have been rocking, and as I was tugging and pulling, and you've got a dirty mind. as I was putting the cable ties on, it must have just pulled it upwards. As a result, the pins would have been bent ever so slightly upwards. They've not been broken, but they've just been bent slightly upwards. It didn't look as if there was any strain on the pins. I had a good look, I got my head in there as best I could. It looked as if literally the pins were there, but they'd just gone up slightly. So naturally, as soon as I discovered that, I took the header off and finished off my cable management, and literally before filming, turning the camera back on to give you an update, put it back on. However, it is still at an angle, and I don't want to, you know, fiddle with it too much. Trust me, I'm desperate to try and straighten it out, but I know if I straighten it out or try and attempt to straighten it back down to where it was, I'll cause more damage. So as a result, I'm going to put all the panels back on. I'm going to tidy everything up, get the bracket back on. I'm going to go get my spare monitor. I'm going to turn it on for the first time and try and install Windows. And from there, we will see whether or not we've done damage to the ARGB header, and whether or not, you know, plugged it in right and everything works. So wish me luck. Okay, boys and girls, moment of truth. Let's put the power on and we'll see if I'm going to be celebrating or if I'm going to be heartbroken. Well, that's a good sign. Oh, that's a very, very good sign. So, we've got RGB. We've got spinny fans. Yeah, looks like the fans are definitely spinning. I can hear the pump going. I can hear the water going around the pump. But, do we have a visual? Hello, what's this? I've got a USB in the back of the computer for Windows. I just don't know if it's recognised. I've got to use a HDMI cable because it's like super old, this monitor. It's telling me there's no HDMI signal. No HDMI signal, why is that? Oh! Whoa! Hello. This has got to be a good thing. This has got to be a good thing. Not showing us anything, but it's got writing on screen. Right, so what's it saying? Okay, so it's prompting me to go into the BIOS. This is exactly what I wanted to see. However, as you can see in front of me, I have no mouse and keyboard. Be right back. Alrighty then. F1 to run setup, F2 to load default values and continue. F1 I think. Press the delete key, turn it okay. We have BIOS. Oh, thank you, we have BIOS. So, BIOS is picking up the motherboard. It's got the correct processor and RAM size, which is fantastic. It's quite a recent build, 17th of August 2021. Got to be honest, I'm quite used to an Asus layout, so it's going to take me a little while just to find my way around so I can get Windows installed on this system. It's official. I am a genius. We've got Windows. Okay, boys and girls and children of all ages, I'm going to leave it there. I'll be honest with you, I am really happy to be finishing these videos. It's taken me 2 days to put this together. There's been tears off camera, and it was a labour of love, admittedly, but I love it now. I can see it and it's working. So this isn't the colour scheme that I want to go for, by the way. I will be showing that off. I'll probably tack it on with a little bit of a slideshow at the end of this video, just so you can see what it looks like. What I will say is the theme I'm going for, hang about, involves this guy. Okay, when I set out to build this machine, I wanted it to be a computer that would look like it belonged on Lord Vader's desk. And when these RGB lights are all shining white and the RAM sticks are all shining red, I think that's mission accomplished. Yeah. Time will tell after I've set all this up, installed all the relevant drivers and software for the L-Connect to do its thing, figure out what I'm doing in that BIOS, because like I said, even though most BIOS these days are very similar, it's a different layout to what I'm used to. I might need to get on the old YouTube and just look for a tutorial on how to use the BIOS and find my way around, refamiliarize myself. But I am glad it's over. I've enjoyed the last 2 days. I'm not going to be in a rush to do it again. Let me know what you think. What do you think to this system? Do you think I've done a good job? Because I think I've done a good job. I think I have. And one last look at it before you go. There you are. Thanks as always for watching. Leave a like on the video if you've liked what you've seen. Be sure to leave a comment and I will catch you on the next one. Bye bye.